How do we see ahead to avoid potential problems? All right, that's today's question. And welcome to my channel. Hope you're having a great day. My name is Thomas, and I do videos on educational matters, mostly the basic subjects, math and geometry and physics and chemistry and astronomy and economics and philosophy and psychology and music and health and fitness, meditation, and probably a few others that I'm not remembering. But we'll be getting into all those subjects as the time goes on. But at the beginning, we're focusing on the tree of life. I've been putting out a series of what will be 144 plus videos on the tree of life, different aspects. And I'm doing that because I think the tree is a powerful tool to be able to understand everything in life. But I also think that it's a great tool to use as really like a mnemonic device. So that you can really be able to store and access and utilize great amounts of information that you take in from other areas. So if we can establish the tree of life as a foundation, then these other subjects will be much easier to learn and to integrate and to remember. So we're gonna keep going with the tree of life here. This is the diagram. You may have seen it before, and it goes back to ancient times, at least to ancient Egypt, if not before. You probably have recognized it as being Hebrew Kabbalah, and the ancient Hebrews did use this diagram. And modern Hebrews, the Orthodox variety, use this as well as a lot of modern occultists and some mystic Christians. It's been being used by very many evil people who are trying to use it to put you under spells and so on. It's not evil in and of itself. It is a technology just like anything else. Can be used for good or evil depending on the intention of the user, but you can also use it to defend yourself from those kind of attacks that you might get from these Satanists who use it. Okay, now you can see that the tree has 10 different circles, and they are numbered 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Then there is an implied or dotted circle right here called the abyss. And then there is a 0 above the tree. So that makes 12 different components or 12 different aspects. You can think of the tree of life as more or less a map of our consciousness. And you can think of each one of the aspects as being an aspect of consciousness or a faculty of consciousness or an ability of consciousness. The universe starts here, involves in this direction, and then evolves in this direction. And that's, evolution, not in the Darwinian sense, but just, more like in just a progression. So we start here with 0 only at our disposal. And then gradually as we grow up and grow through life, we have the opportunity to unlock these other spheres. Most people don't get very far, but if we kind of know what the model is and know what our expectations are and everything, we can help ourselves to kind of open up as many of these as we can during our lifetime. Because each one is a new ability and a greater ability. Each, as we rise up on the tree, we tap into greater and greater powers. Okay, so the 10th sphere is where we begin, and this is really our sense of instinct. This is our survival. This is the law of the jungle, fight or flight response. This is the state of our body, our life force that runs our body without our conscious effort to be able to keep our heart beating and keep us breathing and so on. So we can ruin our life force through our own conscious actions, through defilements and addictions of the body. So we can serve negatively on the 10th sphere, but if we don't, the 10th sphere will keep us alive and keep us healthy and functioning. Okay, then if the 10th sphere is like our wild animal, the law of the jungle, then the 9th sphere is like our domesticated animal. So this is the home environment. This is what you get growing up in the home, the first few years of your life, maybe up to age 7 or something, and you are highly receptive in this stage of your life. Your heightened receptivity is, because everything is new and fresh and unknown to you. Everything that you see is almost fresh and new, and so you stare at your caregivers, those who you're devoted to, who are devoted to you, who are nurturing you, and they provide a great influence on you. You stare at them as they're in the home, acting in the home, and you begin to imitate their behaviors. And you practice that imitation until you get it, get your expression kind of the same as theirs. And then you memorize it. And it kind of goes into your body memory at that point. So that's really the cycle here at the 9th sphere, is there's some devotion and nurturing involved, there's heightened receptivity, and then there is a imitation and practicing or repetition, and then memorization. Now the 9th sphere is like the domestic sphere, but the 8th sphere is like the public sphere. So this is really, as far as faculties are concerned, this is really boils down to our belief systems and our logical faculties. But this is really like our consensus, the consensus worldview. This is the establishment. These are where all the institutions are located. Once we start going to school and we start going to church, we become under the influence of those two institutions, the educational system and the church, and the corporate system and the government system, the media system, all these huge systems, and they all kind of have experts or spokespeople, and they're all kind of telling us what we're supposed to believe about life and how we're supposed to behave in life. And so there's kind of like a consensus or an expert opinion, a conventional wisdom about the public, about the way that things are and how and what's expected of us. And the problem with all that, among other things, is that the 8th sphere is a trickster. And so our establishment is not necessarily telling us the truth. When they say, this is what you're supposed to believe, and they present it as if it's this huge consensus, like everybody knows that. Get with the program. Why don't you get with reality? These are the kind of things that come out of the 8th sphere to kind of intimidate you in order to accept their declarations, their commandments. And they sometimes are true, but they sometimes aren't. There really is what's convenient for them. And so it creates a tension for us, as we already have some experience. We have some common sense already. And what they're telling us, a lot of times it flies right in the face of what we already perceive and know to be true, or what we at least think to be true. And so our belief systems are kind of in a tug of war here, as well as our logical faculties, because some of the things that they tell us call for us to really contort our logic, to twist our logic, to use things like circular reasoning, to use things like rationalization, to use things like accepting consensus as fact. Just that because everybody believes it means that it's true, which it doesn't. And so we are under pressure. Mainly, we're under pressure because all of the resources are located here. So we have to get in here at somehow in order to just really survive, to eat, and to have sustenance. And so, especially the way they present it to us, there might be ways around that, but in the short term, that's kind of how it's being presented. And so we're under pressure to kind of twist our own asphere through those logical fallacies in order to fit in here. Or the problem is we can also get stuck here that way, especially given that they present this as being like the goal of your life, the measure of your success and status, and obviously your wealth as well, and your popularity, and really just this is what you live for. Whereas if you look at it really in the big picture, it's just the third faculty, and we still have 9 more to go, and they're all more powerful than this one. So if we can put things into perspective, we can maintain our logic about ourselves and recognize that we have to get in here to a certain degree, give it lip service, but keep moving, keep going to the next one. We have to come back, every once in a while to replenish ourselves, but we don't have to live here and pretend like this is all there is. I think there's like an old Peggy Lee song where is this all there is? And so that's kind of where we're at here at the asphere. Okay, then now if we do keep our heads about us and we smell a rat here, we suss out that there's something wrong. Then we migrate over toward the 7th sphere, and where the asphere is like the real world, the 7th sphere is like the imaginary world. And so at the 7th sphere, we're imagining something better than what we're getting here. We're imagining how we can affect this asphere to be better. And we use the imagination, but we also have other faculties here at the 7th sphere, such as inspiration, which allows us to follow and stand on the shoulders of other people who've come before us and be motivated by them. And then our intuition, which enables us to go inside. We ask a question. How can I make things better? We ask, and we get answers that are correct, if we go inside. Now, we have to be able to translate those answers correctly, which is a harder situation, and so we need to be able to verify these answers. We also have our creative spark. We have our pleasure principle, which allows us to put things together in arrangements that are new and original and also pleasing to us and to onlookers. So we put all those things together and we end up with kind of what we call our higher calling. This is really like our mission in life, our secret mission in life, how we can actually, as ourselves, as an individual, use our strengths and weaknesses that we're endowed with, the gifts that we have, along with our situation in life, whatever that might be, to figure out how we can best contribute to the whole. And whereas in the asphere, they're wanting you to be a cog in the machine just to figure out how to contribute to the asphere, pretty much. But here we're trying to contribute to the whole. And that gives us, again, some inspiration, and it allows us to propel ourselves up to the next level, the 6th sphere, which is more or less our free will faculty, which boils down to our ability to pay attention and our ability to make decisions. So what we find is that this is really the center. This is really where we are located. If this were a map, it would say you are here. But we're paying attention down the tree. We're paying attention to the 8th and 9th sphere and the 10th sphere because these are what we're comfortable with. These are what we grew up with. And so this is a comfort zone for us. But if we use our decision-making ability at the 6th sphere, we can avert our attention from this lower matrix, and we can plug ourselves in to plug our attention into the higher aspects and our spiritual evolvement. So but that requires some courage because now we're staring into the unknown, and that's always a scary prospect. So, if we can direct our attention at the 5th sphere, the next one in line, then we can get started. The 5th sphere is our sense of justice. So that's the faculty, the sense of justice, and you can think of that as sense of fairness, sense of what's right and wrong, and this is really like a mirror. It's a reflection right here. It's the law of karma, cause and effect. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. As you sow, so shall you reap. What comes around goes around. And we use those reflections, and what's reflected back to us is measured in violence, waste, and violation. So if we act violently, we get a violent act in return. If we act wastefully, we get a wasteful act in return. And so if we recognize that we're not satisfied with the feedback we're getting, and we can also recognize that it's completely our doing. We're the ones who created it. And so we're the ones who can stop it. If we clean up our own behavior, then we won't get those kind of reactions. Now, there's an exception to that has to do with past lives, which is also cleared up here at the 6th sphere through something called disciplined self-sacrifice. And but in general, once we kind of do clear up our past life karma, then we have a clean slate. And when we don't create any karma, we don't get any karma back. So karma is no longer really our enemy, but it's really our protector. It's not our punisher, but our protector. Okay, now similar with the 4th sphere, we need to direct our attention at the 4th sphere. And where the 5th sphere is about the enforcement of the natural law, the 4th sphere is about the articulation of that law in terms of cosmologies or ancient holy books, theories of everything, both ancient and modern. Really, all traditions throughout the world have some kind of cosmology, some kind of, biblical type story of creation and God and, humans and the earth and the laws of science and nature. And these things are all put together into one source, like a book, the Bible or the I Ching or the, modern ones might include Buckminster Fuller's Synergetics, the Reciprocal System of Dewey Bernard Larson, many, many, many others. But most of us probably grew up just studying one of these. I don't think that's really sufficient. I think that we need to really study as many of these as we can, get a well-rounded viewpoint, and then again use our intuition, our discernment, and go inside and ask, how do I make sense of all this? How do I sift through this and harmonize this, integrate this, synthesize this, syncretize this in order to have an understanding or an inner standing of all of the laws. And so, again, we have to verify the answers that we get. But if we do that, we will be able to march forward with a coherent body of thought, or our own personal cosmology. Okay, now the abyss here is really about our psychic powers. And again, we pay attention to it, and we can activate the first part of our psychic powers, our psychic receptivity, which is our ability to, recognize omens in our environment. So an omen is something that's really anomalous, an outlier, something that's very strange, that goes against the laws of statistics, or is very far, a couple, 3 standard deviations away from normal. And this should be some kind of, ring some kind of bell in your consciousness as, oh, this is something important that I should be paying attention to. And it should also imply a course of action. Okay, that's the second part of the psychic powers, is our psychic receptivity, then our psychic heat. The psychic heat is being able to act upon the omen. So we need to be able to notice the omen and then act upon it. And again, that requires courage, because we're putting ourselves out there, open to vulnerability and looking at the unknown. Okay, then 3, 2, and 1 at the top of the tree are our divine faculties within. This is omnipotence, all-powerful, omniscience, all-knowing, and omnipresence, all-present, all at once. Omnipotence really has to do with really fulfilling your higher calling that you declared way back here. And we use the third sphere basically to activate all the other spheres. Through repetitive sound synchronization through mantra, also, like trance music, sacred music, shamanic drumming, all these different things can tap into opening our potentials. We also, the mantra itself, it uses the letters of the alphabet as units of power. Not units of meaning, but units of power. And each one of those units has different potential that it unlocks. And so if we learn how to use mantra, repeat the mantra with devotion, then we will be able to kind of tap into these, and that will lead to us basically culminating, fulfilling our higher mission. Okay, now the second sphere is our omniscience. This is our ability to solve problems, wisdom, our ability to solve problems. And we'll be talking about that today. But we tap into this through vision as opposed to sound. And this is really the vision of our higher self. So we have to be able to calm our mind to the point we can see all the way through our mind and see through to our higher self, which is the image of the solution. So here at the first sphere, this higher self at the center, not only are we able to see it, but at the first sphere, we're able to be it, to merge with the higher self. And once we do that, we take in this unification, because what the singularity at our deepest center is the same as what's at everybody else's deepest center. So if we get to our deepest center, we're everywhere. We are omnipresent. And we can experience the entire universe. Now, if the first sphere is the entire universe, the zero sphere is not in the universe. It's what's not in the universe, and that's zero. Zero, nothingness or emptiness, and total mystery. So this zero sphere is not part of the universe, but it is part of the creator. Okay, so it's the part of the creator that it reserves for itself by not revealing it to the universe. Okay, so those are the 12 basic categories of the Tree of Life. To get to the 144, what we do is we take the whole tree, all the 12 aspects, and we superimpose them on each one of the 12 major aspects. So we get basically a 12 by 12 structure, which equals 144. So those are 144 different minor components of the tree, or minor aspects, what I call the stages of life, or stages of life: history, cosmology, and spirituality. I've written all those up in a little guide, a free guide that I'd be happy to share with you that will help you to kind of keep score of this. You can click the link in the description and get a free copy there. Now, we're looking at today number 117. How do we see ahead to avoid potential problems? And as I mentioned, this is a second sphere thing. So this is in the second sphere. Wisdom, our ability to solve problems, omniscience, through seeing. And this is the third sphere, the third fractal of that second sphere. So that's omnipotence, all powerful. And so we have a little fractal, a little sliver of all powerful within this greater whole of all knowing. And this is called anticipate your own future reality. Stage number 117 is about being able to solve or even avoid all of our own problems. Omniscience manifests as wisdom, our ability to solve problems. We can use an oracle or divination system as a surrogate, but the real source of wisdom is being able to shut down our thought processes long enough to see through the sea of unconsciousness, all the way to the superconsciousness center of the mind, the higher self. If we can stay off the content of our mind and stay focused on the object of the meditation, notice the object without elaborating in our mind, stay on the sensate level. If we can sustain this long enough for the amplitudes in the waves of our mind we begin to calm, to lessen the amplitudes in the waves of our mind. We begin to calm the mind to the point where the mind becomes transparent. At that point, we can see through the mind to the higher self within at our deepest center. The image we see is the solution to our problem. And if we can get there outside of meditation in daily life, the image will allow us to anticipate the problem before it even happens, so we can avoid it entirely. We can also propose these solutions to others who have asked us without clinging to the final result. Having the solution then needs to be followed up by a course of action. Once we see the solutions to our problems, we are free to perfect our higher calling, using mantra to deactivate our zodiacal weaknesses and transcend them. These zodiacal weaknesses are the source of problems. Accept and then transcend our zodiacal weaknesses. Vibrate over them. Adopt all of the strengths of the other zodiacal signs. No weaknesses, but virtues. Comes one mantra at a time. The initiate becomes an adept as she learns to develop, or learns to accept and transcend her zodiacal weaknesses and to adapt all of the strengths of other zodiacal signs, which are within unmanifest. This unmanifest can be brought out to solve all of our problems through devotion to mantra. We still may need to work out some of our own personal complexes, but that is not a prerequisite for understanding all of life's situation and prescribing solutions. Okay, that's number 117, the third fractal of the second sphere, anticipate our own future reality. And that is just something that we can continue to talk about over time, and we will develop some of these ideas more as the course goes on. But that's a thumbnail to start with, and that is just one of the 144 fractal faculties of the Tree of Life. You can see them all at once in that guide that you can get for free if you click in the description. Otherwise, thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. You can press the like button, and you can also share the video with others, subscribe to the channel, make constructive comments in the comment section, and you can also donate directly to me through Cash App or Venmo. Please stay tuned for another video on the 144 fractal faculties, a different one, tomorrow. And I hope you have a great day. I hope to see you soon.